All right. Amy Coney Barrett is on the Supreme Court. Disaster. All right. So I will explain the disaster. I will explain why it happened, how it happened, and break down the vote and the details for you guys. First, sponsor as usual, twostrongcoffee.com/TYT. That is badass progressive coffee. If Too Strong Coffee was in charge of the Senate, she never would have been confirmed because it is too strong. Okay, so it's twostrongcoffee.com/TYT, by the way. All right, and I will read out the names of you guys. If you join up on YouTube as I'm doing this live, hit the join button below to do that. And if you're watching anywhere else, you always make this show possible. TYT.com/join. Okay, let's get going. So Amy Coney Barrett, of course, the GOP nominee, the Trump nominee for the Supreme Court, and she is, I think she's a religious radical. She votes and like a judicial radical, a religious radical judicially. I'll explain that in a second as well. She won easily, 52-48. Murkowski before said, "Oh, this is outrageous. I can't believe they're going to do it this way." And then at the end, she's like, "Just kidding. I'll vote for her." All those other moderate Republicans, who are they? No one. No one at all. There is no such thing. They all voted for her. They didn't care that Merrick Garland was delayed for a year and she is put on the Supreme Court 8 days before an election. They didn't care how much of a hypocrites they were. Okay, now if you watched it closely, you say, wait, Cenk, that's not fair. It's not no one. They did get one Republican vote. That's Susan Collins of Maine. Look, if you don't follow politics this closely, I don't blame you. That's my job. So Mitch McConnell, and both sides do this, but Mitch McConnell is actually good at his job, not the job of doing policy that helps his voters, but the job of politics that helps the Republican Party and his donors. So Mitch McConnell, Schumer is of course not very good at this, but they will release votes. What releasing a vote means is, Susan Collins, we know you're in a super tough race in Maine and you have to pretend to be moderate. And we have plenty of votes. We're going to win 52-48. So I release you. You can go ahead and vote against her, pretending that you're against her when we all know, of course, you'll do anything I tell you to do if the chips were on the line. And Collins goes, "Yes, sir," or "Thank you, sir, for releasing me, sir." And that's how it works, okay? They can pretend all day long otherwise. And if any media is telling you anything opposite than that, they're woefully misinformed. To say the least. If they don't know the concept of releasing votes, oh, that's so embarrassing. Okay, so that's the smallest part of it. And by the way, Republicans not only rammed her through in a record-breaking time, but not only is it about a week before the election, but on top of that, they held a Rose Garden event tonight. They already held it, and Clarence Thomas already swore her in. Now, that's not official. John Roberts has to swear her in, but it was for theatrics. And he did another Rose Garden event with a lot of people not wearing masks. So another super spreader event. They don't care. They don't care about anything. She's on the court, and it's now 6-3 conservatives. And there goes the court for 30 some odd years. First, let me pause here to tell you, if you're not supporting Wolfpack, you don't want to get money out of politics. And if you do want to get money out of politics and you're not supporting Wolfpack, you're not doing it right. There is no other solution at this point. And then I'm going to rage about the Democrats and the media. But if Wolfpack has said for the last 9 years, you shouldn't rely on the Supreme Court to reverse Citizens United. It's a bad strategy and it won't work. Well, guess what? That turned out to be correct. So all those so-called progressive groups, all those Democratic groups, all those Democratic legislators, whenever you said, "Hey, aren't you ever going to do anything about Citizens United?" You all say that you hated, Democratic voters hated by about 109% to negative 9%. I mean, you get the point. I mean, Democratic voters despise Citizens United. Aren't you ever going to do anything about it? Legislators would always tell you the same thing. "Oh, don't worry, we'll get the Supreme Court eventually." No, you won't. It'll take you now 30 years to get the Supreme Court back. Bye-bye. Okay, so that's gone. So there's only one option left, and that's to get an amendment. We told you. I wish we didn't have to. I wish we were wrong, but we're right. And so wolf-pack.com. Look, go check out the whole site. Go see what they're this it's the most non-political group you will ever see in your life, okay? And I say that in the best possible way. All those slick political people with their ties and their resumes and how much they care about their careers. Everybody at Wolfpack's a regular dude, electrician, mechanic, construction, nurse, teacher, etc. It's the most wonderful group I've ever seen in my life. So if you can, wolf-pack.com/join. Pack is obviously PAC in this case. We'll put the link down below if you're watching later, if you're not watching live. If you are, it's easy, wolf-pack.com/join. But look around the whole site, and if you can, help out, because the amendment is the only thing left to get money out of politics. So anyone who tells you otherwise is either doesn't know what they're talking about or is probably lying to you on purpose. So Eccentric Pastiche just joined. What a wonderful, fascinating handle. So did Nick Blaine. So did Michael Rosamilia. I love all of your names. And the first person to sign up today was Maria Sadiq. Do you have a sister who's a reporter for the Huffington Post, or used to be for the Huffington Post? Anyway, or maybe it's you. Anyways, love you. Thank you for signing up. You hit the join button below. Dana Tomlinson. Do you have a brother who used to be an NFL running back? Okay, we can play this game all night. Wrong. GL John Stewart. You want to talk about family members? Anyway, thank you for signing up. We appreciate it. Hit the join button below to do that. And if you're not watching on YouTube, like I said, tyt.com/join. All right, now let me rage. So Democrats, as usual, had their go-to move. Now, if you watch the Young Turks regularly, you'll already know. Because we've told you in advance, they say it every time. There was nothing we could do. There was nothing we could do. They always say that. Merrick Garland, we have a year to put him on the Supreme Court. There's nothing we can do. They're going to ram Barrett through with a week before the election. There's nothing we could do. We have a year. There's nothing we could do. They have a week. There's nothing we could do. Always, there's nothing we could do. Now, Ben and I were just talking about this in an episode of Old School that we taped. If you remember, you get at the highest level on YouTube, at any level on tyt.com, you get all of Old School. And we talked about this at the end. And this is what we've been hearing for the whole 20 years that Young Turks has been around. Oh, golly gee. Oh, man. Oh, we were trying so hard, but there's nothing we could do. But on the other hand, it turns out Democrats are not always weak. So, for example, the DCCC had a rule that if you run a progressive candidate, or any candidate, but it was almost always progressives, against a Democratic incumbent, we will break you. They said, we will blacklist you and we will end your career. It's not an exaggeration. That's exactly what the rule is. We will never contract with, the Democratic Party will never contract with you again, and we'll try to end how you make a living. We'll ruin your career. And it's very, very literally, you'll never work in this town again. Now, they never do that to Republicans, but to progressives, they do that on a regular basis. They're brutal. Okay. So they can be brutal. They just choose not to. As the Republicans pack the Supreme Court, they play patty cakes. Oh, it's a progressive challenging me? Break them! Make sure they never make a living again in this town. And not only that, then Pelosi broke her own rule. The enormously incompetent media didn't even notice. Nobody even commented on it outside of progressive circles. She then supported Kennedy, Joe Kennedy the third. Oh, I do declare, because she said he has had a long-running relationship with the Kennedy royalty, patriarchy. No, she didn't say patriarchy or royalty, but she said the Kennedy family, and she definitely meant royalty. So, anyways, but that was against a Democratic incumbent, Ed Markey, in the Senate. Did we blacklist Nancy Pelosi? No. So I tell you that because the Democrats are actually willing to be perfectly hypocritical, like Mitch McConnell is. They're just not willing to do it to Republicans. They're willing to do it to their own base because they despise their own base. That's why they keep going, did we lose another one to the Republicans? And the minute there's a progressive challenge, God, I mean, you know what they're doing to Pam Keith right now? Go support Pam Keith. She's running in Florida for Congress. She's a very winnable race. DCCC didn't give her any money. That's undeniably a swing district. And a district when there was a corporate Democrat, who, by the way, got her ass handed to her last cycle, They gave her $3 million. Pam Keith is a progressive. They're like zero. So they got all sorts of brass tacks for progressives. When it comes to Republicans, oh my God. What a wonderful hearing you put together, Lindsey Graham. That's what Dianne Feinstein said. And then she hugged Lindsey Graham in the middle of coronavirus when none of them are wearing masks. And she's like, oh, the Republicans are so goddamn progressives. Right? That's how Democrats are. So now, look, I'm going to give you more outrageous parts of this. Let me do the shout outs again with all these new folks signing up. And then I will keep going because you guys are the best. You make this show possible. Danny Clearwater, thank you for reviving us. I'm here all day long. Hit the join button below. Angel Corsi, thank you. Arvin, thank you for using Super Chat. I appreciate it. Niels Gertz, upgraded membership. We do this show together. Some people say, hey, you're a news guy. Why are you shouting out names of people who are supporting you? Because they're supporting us and we're doing the show for them. We're not talking down to you guys. We're talking with you guys. And oftentimes that's why on the live show, we read your comments so often. Jessica Ross Brown just joined. So thank you guys. All right. So as we told you on the live show today, they had a digital fundraiser. I don't want to go back to the same points. I'm sorry, digital filibuster. It's not a thing. They were just doing it to raise money. But I wanted to get to a couple points that we ran out of time to talk about on the show there. They kept saying, vote, and you make your voice heard on the Supreme Court. Vote. What are you guys talking about? The confirmation was today. So when we vote 8 days from now, or if we already voted with mail-in ballot, it's not going to affect Amy Coney Barrett at all. She's already on the Supreme Court. So look, you can say anything you want. Just don't patronize me and don't treat us like dummies, because that's what that is. Oh, go vote. It'll make a difference. No, it won't. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm telling you to vote 1,000 times, and it will make a difference on other things, on massively important things. Then we won't have a fascist as president. That's super important. You should vote based on that. But don't lie to me and tell me it's going to make a difference on Amy Coney Barrett when she's already on the Supreme Court. So they drive me nuts. And by the way, what's the whole point of that digital so-called filibuster? Raise money for themselves. They didn't fight at all, but they're like, give me money, give me money. Now, remember how important elections are because it determines the Supreme Court. Apparently not. I mean, this one is important for other reasons, but it doesn't affect the Supreme Court at all. Ben had this stat today. I think 15 out of the last 20 or 15 out of the last 19 Supreme Court justices have been nominated by Republicans. I mean, Democrats get rolled for a living. That they do. They take money from donors and they surrender it and lose as a living. And then they added on top this thing that really flipped me out. They said, don't worry, voters. You have the final word on Amy Coney Barrett. Wrong again, Bob. No, you don't. The final word was Republican senators. She's on the Supreme Court. So my job is to deliver the news to you guys and not to lie to you like Democratic senators and the rest of the media. Oh, you have the final word. I mean, you have just vote for me. Give me money. Give me power. And then you'll have the final word. But that's not true. It has the slight downside of being a lie. And then now when I criticize Democrats for this, they say, oh, Cenk, how dare you? A week before the election criticizing Democrats. Well, I could flip it on you. How dare you surrender to the Republicans the 6th Supreme Court seat a week before the election? So you're supposed to surrender to the Republicans a week before the election, but I'm not supposed to criticize you. Hate to break it to you, no deal. I'm not one of your paid lackeys like the rest of the mainstream media. To this day, and even after this debacle, this fiasco, almost everyone in the mainstream media, almost every one of them will call Nancy Pelosi a master legislator. I mean, do they have no shame? Do they have no cognizance of anything that they're doing? Oh, yeah, she's won, and that was Affordable Care Act with a supermajority in the Senate and the House. She's won in 189. She's lost 189 out of 190 important legislative battles. And the press is like, what do you want us to call her? Master legislator? Even she's only won once. On a major bill, she's only won once. Good enough. Well, you got check cleared? Yes. Master legislator Nancy Pelosi. Oh, she just lost the Supreme Court again and again and again. Now it's 6-3. It was a week before the election. Well, what am I going to do? Master legislator. Now, if you're saying, hey, wait a minute, Cenk, don't you know anything? Because he's patronizing mother. Say, Cenk, did you know that the Senate confirms the Supreme Court nominees, not the House? Yeah, you schmucks. We all know that. Okay. So, but in this particular case, could Nancy Pelosi have done certain things to delay the Senate proceedings by passing or not passing things in the House? Yes. Did she choose to lay down instead? Yes. Now, don't get me wrong. It's definitely not only her fault. It's not even predominantly her fault. She's just a willing accomplice as usual. In this case, of course, I blame Chuck Schumer more. And I blame Tim Kaine and Joe Manchin, who came out and said, "Oh, we're not going to do more impeachment. We're not going to expand the court. We're not going to do anything. I swear to God, Republicans, we won't do anything." Losers through and through, especially Tim Kaine. I get Joe Manchin's game, right? I don't like his game, but I understand it. I'm in West Virginia. West Virginia likes Republicans. So I'm going to vote with the Republicans, but call myself a Democrat, have the best of both worlds. And that scam's worked for all these years. So I'll give the devil his due. Tim Kaine, any Democrat can win in Virginia now. It's solidly Democratic. And he's like, I love Republicans. I love them. Please don't do anything against the Republicans. He was Hillary Clinton's VP nominee. Oy. All right, I'm going to read more members, then I got more rage. Michael Grilly, like it. Zach Charlie, and Buzz703. You guys are all awesome and on top of the world. Malin Diaz just joined up. They all just joined up. You hit the join button below. Become a Young Turks supporter. I see your names forever. And you are Young Turks forever. So thank you, brothers and sisters. So let me keep raging on your behalf. For the rest of the media and for the Democratic establishment that tells me not to criticize people, and do it a week from now when it'll be totally irrelevant. I was doing this for the last 2 days when there was still like this percent chance that they could beat back Barrett. But remember, in order to actually win, they had to start the minute she was announced. They had to start all procedural tactics, all delaying tactics, and they had to throw everything in their arsenal. And then it would have been close. Like they still might not have made it. I'm not saying it was a guarantee. But I know if somebody like me was in charge, I would have thrown the kitchen sink, and I bet I could have delayed it by 8 days. And I explained that all in the beginning when she was announced. But really, 2 days from now, it wouldn't have made a difference, or 2 days ago. But I was saying, hey, look, for posterity, for the record, there are things they could have done, and they're choosing not to do it. And they said, Cenk, wait till after the election. But please, does anyone have any degree of logic in the establishment? If you wait till after the election, she's already on the Supreme Court. Oh, all right. And by the way, if you say, yes, let them put any conservative justice they want on the Supreme Court, as long as I keep my power, okay, at least you're being more honest. But that didn't really help the rest of us. So then... one of the things they said last night, they said, you should call your GOP senators, call the Republican senators, and tell them what's what. Are we really still doing that? Look, sometimes Wolfpack will call state legislators, but with constituents in their area, and they are much more responsive to their constituents because they have less constituents, right? Whereas the national legislators couldn't care less about their constituents. They have zero concern about them. It's Republicans. Oh, we got a lot of calls from voters. Oh, they must have had a good laugh over that. Over a good stiff cognac at the super spreader Rose Garden confirmation event that they had, right? So they're like, oh, did more voters call you too because of the digital filibuster? Now, if you came at them with a couple $1 million, then all of a sudden they're going to take your call, and then maybe they don't confirm or don't do that. Okay, but it is perfectly legal. You could set up a super PAC and you could do that all day long. By the way, that's another option. That's a sixth option. If there really was a magical, mythical George Soros, he could have called up Republican senators and go, why don't I give you guys $2 million? What is it going to take? $5 million, $10 million apiece in your campaign coffers and you don't confirm her. They probably would have taken it. That's all they care about is the money. We couldn't even bribe them right. ExxonMobil bribes them all day long. Geo Prison Group bribes them all day long. All the drug companies bribe them all day long. Anyway, don't bribe anybody, legal or otherwise. But our guys are in the unilateral surrender business. So if you remember how I told you Murkowski was full of crap, and she said she wasn't going to vote for Barrett, but then she voted for Barrett. You want to know why? Hey, Zach Charlie, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. You want to know why? Because she realized, there's no consequence. She was worried that the Democrats were going to hold her accountable, and if she was so wildly hypocritical in delaying Garland, helping the Republicans delay Garland for a year, and then confirm Barrett a week before the election, that she might have to pay a political price for that because she's posing as a moderate Republican. And then she looked around and she's like, oh, right, I forgot. These guys suck at politics. I'm not going to have to pay any price at all. There's going to be no consequence. So, yeah, then I'll vote for her. Look at these weaklings, Schumer and Durbin. I wonder if she spit on them on the way to voting yes. Look at these guys. They did nothing. I thought they were going to do something. They did nothing. Chris Hollins, thank you for joining up as a member. I got more where that came from. Now, last depressing fact. Do you want to know what percentage of the federal judiciary Donald Trump filled? Now, any given president, you can't fill that much because, especially Trump, he's not even 2 terms. He's just been 4 years. And obviously every president does it. So a ton of the judiciary is left over from Reagan and Clinton and Bush and the other Bush and Obama, et cetera. So if they got 10% of the judiciary, that'd be a really nice number, okay? Trump has filled 1/3 of the federal judiciary seats. How the hell did he do that in 4 years? Well, here's how they did it. Mitch McConnell started blocking all judges, not just the Supreme Court justice, all judges, with almost 2 years left in Obama's term. He grinded to a halt throughout the entire 8 years. But as they got closer and closer to the election, 2 years out, 1 year out, he just slammed on the brakes. And so all these positions create a logjam. Obama should have filled all those seats. But Schumer and Durbin, and honestly, Obama and Biden, their response to Mitch McConnell's tactics were, I don't know what to do. What am I? A politician? What am I, a legislator? I don't know what to do. Oh, give me money. They let McConnell roll them. And so when Trump came in, now did the Democrats do the same thing McConnell did to slow down Trump? Nope. Oh, there was nothing we could do. So Trump got everyone he wanted. So he got the Supreme Court to 6-3. He's now nominated 3 judges in 4 years. He got one of Obama's and he got one of Biden's. He should have only had 1, but instead he got 3. So, Micah Grilly, thank you for upgrading in the middle of the video. You're awesome. So that's how they play this game, and that's how the Democrats lose. And that's how they lost 1/3 of the judiciary. And by the way, up until Trump, at that point in 2016, Obama had done great for himself. Biden had done great for himself. Schumer and Durbin and Pelosi and Hoyer, they had all the power and they got all of the media kissing their feet nonstop. Oh, you guys are master legislators. You guys are so great. We'll do propaganda on your behalf. And we'll tell everyone how great and awesome you are and how they have to bow down to you. And if anyone objects, we'll say they criticize you, Pelosi, because you're a woman, and Obama because you're African American, and Durbin because nobody cares about you anyway. And Schumer, I don't know, we'll make up something. It was still Hoyer because of your kerchief. They criticize you because they're kerchief bigots. That's why. We'll play identity politics. We'll play whatever you want, but we are your Praetorian Guard, and the mainstream media will protect corporate Democrats at all costs. So you'll see here. Will they get any criticism? I mean, my God, if you're an objective reporter and you just saw, it's not new Democrats, it's the same Democrats, it's Schumer, Pelosi, the same lot, okay? You just saw them get clowned by the Republicans just 4 years ago. where they blocked a Supreme Court justice for a year for no reason at all. And then they took that same rule and they flipped it on its head. They said we were lying, and we don't care that it's the year before the election. We don't care that it's a week before the election. And they pass Amy Coney Barrett, and you see the Democrats get clowned right in front of your eyes. And you turn around and call them master legislators. And I'm the bad guy for saying that's pathetic. I'm the bad guy for saying, you guys are not good at your job. That's not really news. That's just propaganda on behalf of one. Well, to be fair to them, it's not really a sliver. It's not just Democrats. It's corporate Democrats and corporate Republicans. That's who the corporate media works for. I work for you guys. That's why I read out your names, and I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. In fact, Teresa, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate it. And Violet S., thank you for becoming a member. Jordan Paula, thank you for becoming a member. And I think I'm all caught up. And Brian Doyle, I think I said. So, all right, guys. I said I'd rage. It was more like frustration than anything else, not really raging. At this point, there is literally nothing we can do. It is 6-3 for as far as the eye can see. And so I will leave you on a depressing note. Fun for everybody. But by the way, seriously, isn't it amazing? All I'm doing is telling you facts. You could look up each one of these. They're all verifiable. You can go on. You say, wait, did really Garland take? Yeah, wow, he did take 10 months before the election. Then there was the lame duck session. So that was really over a year that they delayed. Wow, it's true. It is 8 days before the election. And she was just confirmed today. Everything I said is true, right? Oh wow. Before Trump, Obama, Biden, and the same Democratic leadership, they lost 1,000 seats at the federal and state level. They lost 1,000 seats, even though the overwhelming majority of the country agrees with them on almost every policy issue, and I can show you the polling. In a book I'm writing, I will actually show you the polling. And these are all verifiable. They keep getting clowned, and the media keeps saying, attaboy! Man, these corporate Democrats are so good at their job. You wouldn't want to go with those radical progressives with all the truth and stuff and doing what all the other developed nations do, and it costs less. And then we'd have less wars. I mean, what would we do without the wars? And then everybody would get health care in the middle of a pandemic? That seems radical. What, every other country does it? Radical. Oh, the planet is burning down to the ground. Literally. California is on fire nonstop. Siberia is on fire. The Arctic's on fire. Oh, it seems pretty radical to try to fix that. 99% of the world's scientists agree with progressives. Radicals. And they say all of this with a straight face. So if they don't like me because I tell you guys what the reality is, I guess that's a sad day for them. Perhaps they'll declare me an outlaw. Well, if Trump wins, it could be quite literal. From their perspective, not that I would actually break the law, but certainly Trump would say it, is my guess. Anyways, luckily, hopefully that won't happen. All right, so the last depressing thought is, John Roberts actually ruled fairly on a election issue recently in Pennsylvania. He sided with the so-called liberals on the Supreme Court and said, yes, you should actually count the votes, and you should actually do what the state courts and the state legislatures say, because I believe in states' rights, which is actually the conservative position judicially. And so he's right about that. And of course, Lou Dobbs and the rest of them called him a traitor and all that stuff, right? But now he no longer matters, because now they have 5 votes without John Roberts. So now if they have that vote again, and the Republicans say, don't count the votes in Pennsylvania, they very well might have 5 votes that say, yeah, that's right. If Trump is leading right now and the counting, we'll call the rest fraudulent. Based on what evidence? We don't need evidence because we already have the justices. What was that old line? I'm going to butcher it about. And was it Stalin? It's almost always Stalin. I don't care who votes. I only care who counts the votes. Well, now we got 5 Supreme Court justices that are going to decide whether they're going to count the votes or not. Again, I think that Trump is going to lose by so much, it's not going to be an issue. But God help us if I'm wrong, and it's closer than I think, then the court can, and very likely will, steal another election. It's not like there's no precedent. In 2000, they said, yes, we will not let you count the votes of Florida. We will not let you count them. Under no circumstances are you allowed to count the votes that are sitting right there that we know you can recount. Don't recount them. Because it turns out if you recounted them, Al Gore would have won. Not the popular vote. Yes, the popular vote too. But the Electoral College, he won the state of Florida. But they stole the election. So now Amy Coney Barrett could say, there's precedent for stealing an election. Don't count the votes. We declare Trump the winner. Cross your fingers that doesn't happen. I still have it as unlikely, but if it's close, then it turns to likely. So now the Democrats got to win the election by about 5 points. 3 points is stealable. Now with Amy Coney Barrett, 4 points is stealable. That's the incredible, sad state that we're in our democracy in America. Thanks to the feckless, useless Democratic leadership. Oh, Cenk, how can you say that? You'll lose all access to them. And access is everything. It pays my bills. I don't give a rat's ass. Will Nancy Pelosi not come on the show anymore? I'm heartbroken. I don't know how I'll recover. Okay. Yeah, I don't care about your access. My job is to deliver the news. All right. Last set of names, because I got to read them all if I can. Jamar Mays, Mike Stamper. These are all folks who just hit that join button and became members in the middle of the video. Christy Rush. Well, it appears that you guys are the best of the best. Kelly, thank you for the super chat. Look at that. Brendan is a white. Brendan White. Yes, thank you for joining. You could do it when I'm not live either. Okay. And we appreciate it. If you're not watching anywhere else, tyt.com/join. And don't forget our wonderful brave sponsor, 2strongcoffee.com/tyt. Yes, that's a fist and a coffee bean at the same time. Yes, that's badass. Yes, you get this mug if you order 3 bags or more. Yes, I like that they give money to Rebellion PAC that actually fights back, as they did in a Kara Eastman ad today. I like that it supports Justice Democrats, so we all fight back together. And I don't think you're going to find anybody else in the market that does that. So 2strongcoffee.com/tyt. All right, you guys are the best. I'll see you tomorrow.